Maples. I'm Amy Maples with the Oklahoma Department of Rehabilitation Services, and we want to present for you a little bit about the Oklahoma Department of Rehabilitation Services transition programs. I'm with Stacy Dutton. She is the program's field representative for DRS, and together we're going to share with you what VOC Rehab is and what services we provide. VOC Rehab is a part of the Oklahoma Department of Rehabilitation Services, and we provide transition youth services that help students with disabilities train for jobs and continue their education so that they can find a job after high school. Under this program, the youth have opportunity to participate in different programs like sponsored career counseling, work readiness training, and fully integrated work experiences in the community. These services are delivered and provided to students while they are still in high school, and they establish the foundation for a seamless transition from high school to job training or furthering education and eventually employment. Stacy, do you want to talk a little bit about who's eligible for DRS services and services for the blind and visually impaired?
Sure. Ramona, would you go? There you go. Okay. So first of all, to be eligible for our services, you need to be 16 years or older and still completing requirements for high school completion. So that would be in a public, private, or charter school, homeschool, but you cannot be a dropout not completing high school. So you still need to be in high school or receiving some kind of education. The Department of Rehabilitation Services School to Work program is basically a program for students while they're in high school to get experience with working, and they can work within the school or in the community. And it is a paid work experience. And that's one of our programs that we have. So moving on to the next slide, it talks about research that has identified 20 in-school predictors of post-school success that help students with disabilities achieve better employment outcomes. So some of those predictors are career awareness, community experiences, just like the school work study that I just talked about, interagency collaboration, paid, unpaid work experience, self-determination, self-advocacy, social skills, and work study. And those are all things that would help students achieve better success when they graduate. So one of the things that came out in 2014 was the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. And with that, it basically provided us with our pre-ETS services, which is pre-employment transition services. These are free services provided to students while they're in high school. And it includes job exploration counseling, work-based learning experiences, including internships, workplace readiness training, including social and independent living skills, counseling on post-secondary opportunities, instruction in self-advocacy, and including peer mentoring. And these counselors come to the school, and they basically work either one-on-one or in group settings with these students to help them with these activities. So it talks a little bit here about some of the things they do. They do the job exploration where they help them with assessments and interest inventories and just provide them that information of what's out there and help them explore their options. Work-based learning is exploring appropriate workplace behaviors and also participating in work site tours so they can actually take them into the community and help them see what is out there in their community and be able to experience what it would be like working in different places in their community. Also job shadowing experiences as well. Workplace readiness is where they can learn those soft skills peer mentoring, independent living skills, and also learning how to access transportation. Self-advocacy, this one's huge because it teaches them how to advocate for themselves and their disability, and learn how to be responsible, and basically learn how to take care of their needs, whether it be in the workplace or at home, or just going to the doctor's office or something like that. Self-advocacy is huge for students, especially students with disabilities. Post-secondary counseling, this is where they can actually counsel them to help them explore those options as well, and teach them what they need to learn to be able to get to those post-secondary goals that they have. So the coordination is basically, it talks about pre-ETS activities are designed to supplement and enhance, not replace, a local education agency's transition program. It's just supposed to enhance it. There is no cost. It is free. There needs to be legal guardians' written consent in order to provide pre-ETS, and participation in pre-ETS does not qualify an individual for VR services or DRS services. So basically, just because they have pre-ETS does not automatically mean that they will automatically receive those DRS services. It is two different things, and so I want to clarify that. So you will have an application for pre-ETS and also have an application for DRS services. Pre-ETS activities can be provided individually or in group setting. That's something I mentioned before. Who can participate? One or more pre-ETS activities can be provided to students with disabilities who have been determined eligible or are potentially eligible for DRS services, and who have identified a need for pre-ETS transition services. So basically, the majority of the students that receive pre-ETS services, they do not have to be 16 or older, just like a DRS client. They actually can start at age 14 and start receiving those services, where DRS would need to be at least 16 or older. The pre-ETS will need a documented disability. However, majority of them will also see students that do not have a disability as well, just because they are good people and they will come in and they will take care of any students. So, but when and where do they take place? Well, they take place in the schools majority of the time, but sometimes they will coordinate outside of the school as well. How do I request pre-ETS? For any student with a disability, all you need to do is talk to a teacher or a counselor in your school, and they will provide that form for you to sign. Okay. All right, Amy, do you want to talk about this part?
Sure.
Okay.
And before I get into the benefits to the high school student, I just kind of want to go over the application process for a DRS program. And a lot of parents often wonder, how do I apply for DRS services? And it can be daunting, but you can just take it step by step. First, you can contact any teacher or student services coordinator at the school and request an application for the Department of Rehabilitation Services, vocational rehabilitation, or services for the blind with visually impaired students. And you fill out the first 2 pages of the application and get that back to us either by email. You can turn it back into a school teacher, or you can send it directly to a DRS office. And our email addresses and some contact information is available in the first slide of the presentation, as well as you can go to the OKDRS website and you can type in transition in the search bar, and that will lead you to a tab that will allow you to apply or to get an application online. So you fill out the first 2 pages of the application, return it to the school, or to return it to DRS, and that will start the application process. And we're always available to help you fill out those applications or to get you an accessible format so that you can fill those applications out. The benefits to a high school student to filling out an application and applying, if you're eligible for services, if you qualify for services because there is a barrier to employment, then you would then become a client of DRS, and we would help you identify student career interest and needs. So we would try to figure out what your student skill set is and what their interests are and what type of career would be best suited to meet both of those together. The benefit to high school students is there's an awareness of a variety of different types of post-secondary education training that's available. A lot of students don't know how they will navigate post-secondary education. So college or career tech with a disability, they don't know how to access disability coordinators in those post-secondary programs, and that's something we can help with. It's a benefit to help develop a plan with outcome-oriented goals and activities, and we do this by providing you a written plan of services to say, these are the steps that you can take to have an outcome-oriented goal specific towards employment. So, and we call that your employment goal. Sorry, I lost my slide. There's another benefit to high school students applying for DRS and participating in pre-ed services is that you have an awareness of the variety of careers that are available and the jobs that are available within different career fields. And this is very important because it's a very fast and vast changing part of the workforce, is that there's constantly new career fields available, and we can help identify what's the best training to get into some of these fields that your student may be interested in. You have a better perspective of what your personal skills are and how to utilize those and how to reinforce and develop those skills for employment. And the goal for the Department of Rehabilitation Services is to get the student the training, the support, and help them understand what accommodations they may need in order to be competitively employed. So that is the primary goal of our job as DRS counselors and vocational counselors, is to get you the employment training as a student, or once you've graduated high school as a young person that's out there in the world. So in order to do that, we work with you to increase your communication in your circles of support, like your families and your teachers, about what your students' progress is and what their needs are. And we help broaden self-development and awareness, including how to request accommodations. A lot of times that's done by the school staff. And once you transition from high school, there's not anybody there to do that. So we help teach you through self-advocacy how to take care of that. I'm sorry, Stacey, can you take over?
Yeah, sure. All right. So we talked about that schoolwork study briefly in the very, very beginning, which is a very, very huge part of the transition vocational rehabilitation services. And the reason why is because not very many other programs will allow students to work while going to school and get paid while doing that. And so that is one huge part, and it's very, very it's a very good experience for those students to learn that. So there's 3 types of work study, and I'm going to mention all 3 of them, but I will talk about the majority of students do the school work study, which is the first one, which is allow them to work on campus. The second one is also very important, and that is also to work in the community. So a lot of times they'll start working on campus, and then their last semester or last year of school in their senior year, they might start working in the community. And then the third one is where they start to work for the employer, and where the employer actually takes over and starts paying them, and they will have a full-time, not full-time, but they will have a job, whether it be part-time or full-time, going into post-secondary goals. So basically, that's kind of the order that we would like for it to go, but not always does it happen that way. Sometimes they just work right into the community, and other times they may just start working for an employer with some help from DRS. So that's the whole work study, the work study in general anyway. So the contract allows for these students to work up to 24 months total. So they do not need to be consecutive. So they could work maybe one semester and then skip a semester and then work the next year. The summer months do not, well, it depends. I will talk about that in just a minute. Summer months spent in work study count in the 24 months. However, we do have a summer program called STEP, and we've been told that that does not include into the school work study. I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't hold me to that, but that's what I was told. And then the final 9 months of the work study must be outside the school district in the community. That's not necessarily a have to, but that is what we would love for the student to do, because that is obviously the goal, is to move away from school and work in their community. But some students may not always have that ability to and confidence to work in the community yet, based off of their needs. So that might have to be something that is discussed in the IEP or IPE meeting. So the ideas, some examples of school work study that's been done before is janitorial, working in the schools, working with the janitors, cleaning, sanitizing, picking up trash out in the parking lot, that kind of thing. Cafeteria work, that is a lot of schools do that because it's always needed to have students working, wiping down tables after lunch, trash, lunch prep, all of that. Bus barn, sanitizing buses after morning routes, sweeping, cleaning, washing buses, office, working in the offices, answering the phones if they're confident enough and have those skills, filing, stuffing mailboxes, or even maybe possibly bringing the mail to the teachers. That's a good one. Replacing paper in the copy machines, laminating, making copies. There's some more on the next slide, I think. Manager of sports team. That one's a fun one for those boys that love sports. They get to be a part of the team, and they get to do things like inventory, hauling the equipment, the water jugs, filling up the water jugs and the ice, possibly even washing. If there's a washer and dryer in the facilities, they may wash and dry the uniforms and organize them. So there's all of that. That's always a good one. Teacher's aide and assistant, working in the classrooms, maybe helping with organizing, grading. I don't know about grading so much, but maybe the organizing part of it, and designing those bulletin boards. Man, I was a teacher and I hated designing bulletin boards. So I always had my students help me with that, and they love doing that kind of thing. So that's always a fun one. Information technology assistant. I haven't seen very many of these, but if you have a student that really, really likes to work with computers and knows a lot about that, that might be something that would be good for them. Working with those laptops and Chromebooks and cleaning them and replacing things in them and all those kind of things. And then there's also school stores. In some of our larger districts, we have school stores where they sell things, whether it be spiritware, can't talk, sorry, coffee, snacks and drinks, those kind of things. So those are all ideas that where they can do like school work study within the school. So here's some other special programs and events that are coming. Some of them are coming up. Some of them have already happened. For instance, OTI, which is the Oklahoma Transition Institute, that happens in the fall every year in October. And so be looking for that if that's something that you would like to know more about in transition and be able to help your student with some of their goals and some of these programs that are available. OTI is wonderful for that. The transition fairs. I know Ramona has a transition fair coming up. Ramona, when is that the date for that? March 25th? Am I right?
There are some summer experiences. There's the Summer Transition Employment Program. There's the that's called the STEP program. There's the Building Employment Skills for Today. That's called the BEST program. We have Camp WOW. That's been done in the past. There's the Science and Technology and Engineering and Mathematics camp, STEM camp. Kids really usually enjoy the STEM camps. There is what's called VIBE for Visually Impaired and Blindness Empowerment Camp. It's typically an overnight camp where students get to experience independent skills training and various employment skills training on a campus, so that they get the type of training that they would get if they were in maybe in a college setting or in some type of long-term training facility. All of these programs are available to students who qualify as a client for DRS. So in order to participate in these programs, with the exception of a few like the PREETs and the transition fairs, you would want to make application for DRS, for vocational rehabilitation or for services for the blind and visually impaired. It's the same application used for either group of disabilities. So it's located on our website. And these programs are definitely something that the kids enjoy getting to participate in, but it really enhances their engagement with counselors, with teachers, with the individuals who are trying to help them with independence and employment training. The following slides are slides that are pictures of children and students who have participated in the past and give you some details about the camps and about the programs. And all of these things are meant to enhance for employment skills training and available to students ages 14 through 24 in regards to the transition program. Specifically, they serve kids, DRS serves children 16 through 21 in our transition program. So some of the camps may have age requirements, and those would just be specific questions that a vocational counselor would be able to answer for you.
And our community resource night is at Jinx High School this year. It's March 31st. It will be in Building 6 from 6 to 8.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ramona, do you have any questions for us that we could answer for you about DRS services and the process?
No, I'm just flipping through the camp pictures. It's talking about Camp Wow now.
Yeah, those are just some examples of some of the different programs that students have participated in the past and that are available when you apply for services through DRS. Typically, they're available for kids ages 16 through 21. Camp Wow, let me get back to that. It's a program that's an overnight camp in, I think, the Ouachita Mountains, and it didn't take place the last couple of years due to COVID. I think they're planning on doing that, getting that back up and running, but you kind of have to play those things by ear nowadays. And if we have more information about specifically towards Camp Wow upcoming, we'll be able to forward that along to the schools so they will also know. But the best thing, if any parents or teachers have any specific questions about these things, is to just contact a counselor at DRS. And, we're a pretty close-knit family. You might get somebody that doesn't handle your specific school that your student goes to, but they'll definitely know who to put you through to and get you to in contact with the right person so all your questions can be answered. There's some contact information at the end of the slide for Esther Watkins and Rayanda and then Stacy. And then the first slide also has some contact information available. And we're always here to answer any questions for anyone that they might have. And specifically, we're here to help you apply for services. It can be overwhelming to, figure out which agency does what. And we're here to help answer those questions. And we're a phone call away or we're an email away. And we would love to work with you. And even if we're not the most well-suited place for your child, we want to make sure that your student or the students that you're working with are connected to what is the most suited for them. So
can you tell us a little bit about Project Search?
I can, Amy, I can talk about the Project Search. So
okay.
They are starting a new Project Search through Tulsa Tech and Tulsa St. Francis. It will begin, I think, at the end of January. We're currently going through the applications, and I think we're doing interviews at this time for it. But right now, it is for students that have already graduated high school that are looking for that next thing to get experience working. What Project Search does is basically it provides unpaid work experience for students with disabilities. Students must be a DRS client and also have had graduated from high school, like it says on there. Esther Watkins will be the Esther Watkins and Catherine Clammer, which she does not have her information on here. But if you need to contact anybody, please contact Esther Watkins and she can give you more information about Project Search and how to apply for that. But again, this is not for students that are currently in high school. They need to have been graduated from high school because they will not get all of their requirements, academic requirements and credits in order to graduate, because this is all day long and it will take over their day and they will not be receiving those credits while they're in high school. So that's why the requirement is for students that have already graduated. But the program is really awesome. There's several Project Searches already going on in the Oklahoma City area. As you can see the pictures, these are from the Oklahoma City area. They work within the hospital, so they would work within Tulsa St. Francis. And they do things like the one picture here on the left is working in the rehab. They will work in like where they're organizing scrubs and gloves and all sorts of things for the hospital. They'll work also. I know one of the project searches allows them to work in the with the babies, and they don't actually work one-on-one with the babies, but they will clean the beds and provide the nurses the materials that they need. A lot of sanitizing in the hospitals and a lot of cleaning, but they rotate these shifts. So they might work in the rehab for a while, for about, I don't know, a couple months or so, and then they rotate to a different shift. And so they're learning not just one, but several different shifts throughout the hospital, and gaining that work experience. They also have classroom activities in the very beginning when they get there and at the very end of the day. So they're learning as well. It's a wonderful program. I'm so glad to have it in Tulsa. I can't wait to hear the progress that these students are going to have here in Tulsa. So, but that is definitely something that's huge. And usually what happens when one project search starts, then several others will start as well. So we're hoping to have several more project searches in the Tulsa area soon. So does anybody have any other questions?
I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and push stop on the record.
Okay.